Here is an SMC model TH16 16-inch oscillating table fan from 1998. This is not the same table fan with the pink blade. This is a whole new one. I got this alongside this Holmes fan from the early 90s. And I pretty much got these from a Facebook marketplace, even though they were not listed yet. These were in some repair shop that involved a lot of motors, and there were tons of fans everywhere in this place. There was even an Air King 18-inch 9119 from the mid 2000s. There was a lot of fans, dozens and dozens. I was gonna go for this one frigid 16-inch fan, but they didn't have it. And then I was also going for this Arias 12-inch stand fan, but it was under repair, so I couldn't take it. And then there was this other Lakewood fan that also had its power cord cut off. So yeah, it was whole dozens of fans that were going through repairs in that facility, and that's pretty much where I got these two from. Now this one I repaired, serviced the motor, because this was it was pretty dirty when I got it, but you know, this is overall it came out nice and clean. Now here's the thing, this one did experience some issues. This control switch was very stiff to operate, so I had to spray some WD-40 and then clean it out, because you know, if I don't clean that WD-40, and this stuff is very flammable, and you know, there's sparks that go off inside these things, and then once spark goes off, this thing could catch fire. So yeah, but it's all working well, so that risk is not even there at this point. So speaking of condition, it's in much better shape, and this is pretty much how I found the other one back in 2020, which I now parted out because the bottom base was broken, the neck bracket was yellowing, and it was a whole mess. But yeah, this one's an earlier version to that one, because this one still has the older grill plate. As you see, there's some differences, but I think this one's a newer one. Still has the older blade nut, surprisingly. The other one I had the same blade nut as this a Medea fan right here. But yeah, otherwise, other than that, it's pretty much the same thing. The neck bracket design is pretty much the same as this one right here, and everything else is the same. Now, these fans, they're considered to be very underpowered. And Jordan, if you're watching this, I'll explain this to you. This blade set here is very steeply pitched. That's the reason why these fans tend to have the lowest performance out of any other. And I'll do a blade swap video with this Holmes fan, and you know, surprisingly enough, this Holmes fan also has the same amount of pitch as this fan, because I did swap them off camera. And you know, both of these blades have the same shape, as you can see here. As you know, both of these are based off the Tatung fans from the 80s, because I think Tatung was the well, not really Tatung, but they pretty much had the original version of this blade set, despite this, you know, being used way early into the 70s. So yeah, don't take my word for that on the Tatung stuff. But yeah, this thing is very steeply pitched, and apart from that, I think this is, despite being made in China, this uses the same material as the blade sets of that Lasco used in the early 90s. So with that much pitch and the weight combined is the reason why this motor is very, very powerless. So let's take a side view, you're gonna see. But yeah, it's very steeply pitched, and then Also, to keep in mind of the thickness of the blade and the motor, because I will do a blade swap in the future, and you're going to see what I'm talking about. So let's start this on the low. So yeah, I don't have my camera stand right now, so I can't really do much. Overall though, this thing is pretty powerful, despite it being a very slow fan. And I could kind of feel this from a distance. Got with this stupid chair here. Yeah, the breeze may not be strong from a distance, but I could kind of feel it. Now I'm thinking about swapping out the motor with an 18-inch fan that I parted out, which is also a Medea from the 2000s. But yeah, power's not really that bad. But once again, the motor is very underpowered for the type of blade it has. Medium. Yeah, the low speed is way too slow because the medium is like a low on some other fan. And it would be a low on that home fan, because what's crazy about this fan is that this one has a more powerful motor to this one, which I did not expect, because I was expecting that fan to have a very light blade set to this one. I was not expecting these blade sets to be the same, which is pretty insane. Hi. Now high speed is quite powerful. But once again, it's underpowered. But yeah, I could sort of feel this from a good distance, so it's not really that bad. Let's test that oscillation. And the gearbox this has is the older one. It's not the newer one like the this Medea fan has. But yeah, the high speed on this one would be a low speed on this Air King fan here. That's how slow it is. So yeah, I'm going to do a blade set in the next video. That way you can see what I mean with the air resistance, and they're very different. And also another thing, their grills, despite them being slightly thinner to what other brands use, I kind of feel like it's somewhat restricting, because for some reason when I take the grill off, this fan seems to run a slightly bit faster, and it probably could be that despite the blade having a steep pitch, not much air, not all of the air is coming out because of the obstruction of the grill, especially from the center, despite it not being as insanely tight as the Canadian versions. Balance seems to be decent, at least. I'll give it that. But yeah, it's very slow. But on the other hand, it is very quiet, and I really like that because, you know, I was running this one here last night and I could barely even sleep with it on because, you know, the apart from the much shallow pitch on this blade and the fact that it's skinny, it kind of makes a whole lot of noise compared to something like this. Alright, let's switch it off. And off. So even after oiling this, it is quite slow, but yeah, the bearings are in very good shape, so this is going to take a good while to coast down. Yeah, that's quite a heavy blade set right there. Alright, so there you have it. That is the 1998 SMC 16-inch oscillating dust fan.